Hello, I'm Nobby. Welcome to my workshop. The next stage of work on the PM Research engine, you recently saw in the last video that I completed the machining of the cylinder, so everything's completed on that now. So what I have to do next is to machine the cylinder caps. Two of them to machine. One only needs a simple amount of machining. This one fits the rear of the cylinder and it is already about the right diameter. So basically all this needs is to be faced off so that this is nice and flat, and it will then have 4 holes drilled in it to mount it onto the back of the cylinder. This one, which goes here, will need a bit more work. It is slightly larger, so the plans show actually machining, facing this part off, also here, and squaring up this section here as well, so that this fits into the hole in the base, and also machining the back. These are quite difficult, if not almost impossible, to hold in the lathe chuck, because both of them have got a pattern draft on here, so it would be very difficult to grip safely. So what I've done is I've made a jig to hold these in the lathe chuck. I've just used a piece of aluminium, and I've machined a recess here and here. The one with the larger recess this side to take this cylinder, so that when that's mounted into the chuck, where I've cut a slot through here, it's all the way through, that will squeeze that together and hold this part in place while I do the machining, so I can face this part off and here, bring this to size. That could then be quite safely turned around in the chuck, gripped on here, so that I can face this off, bring this down to thickness, and machine the outside as well. And also on this side, there'll be a little step in here which will locate into the cylinder bore here, so that will centre that up on the cylinder bore, and the same on this one. This one, as it doesn't necessarily need any machining on the back or on the edge, this one can be mounted on that side into here, and that just simply needs facing off to clean it up. Again, machining that little step to fit into the back bore here. This one, as I mentioned, this one will have 4 holes drilled in it to hold it on here. This one, the other one's slightly different. This one has 3 holes, but the holes are not evenly placed around here, as you would think they would be, because when this is the cylinder is actually mounted onto the back of the base, you'll quite easily be able to get to the screws that hold it in the top. This one at the bottom will be slightly more difficult, so these will be more closely spaced together, so you've got access to them, and the other one will actually be at the bottom here. But that part also I'll do later, put it on my rotary table to drill those holes out. So the next job is going to be very carefully fitting, I think, this part first into here, and get it mounted up into the lathe chuck so that I can machine this face off here. Well, this is how I've set it up. Also, sorry, there's a lot of background noise. It's absolutely pouring down with rain here at the moment, and as my workshop is a metal workshop, it's making a lot of noise on the roof, but at least the rain today has brought slightly warmer weather with it, so I'm just going to have to suffer that. So anyway, the way I've set this up in the lathe is obviously tightening the jaws so that it squeezes this cut together to hopefully hold this part in place so that I can face that surface off. I set it up against a couple of parallels down the back here, one at the bottom and one at the top to hold it in place. What I also did, let's move that forward, I put a bar in the tailstock chuck and push that against the part to hold it in place against the parallels while I tighten this up. And what I've also done, I've used this tool, which I'm sure you're familiar with. It's something you can use to square off a part in the lathe chuck. If this is brought up against the part, it will. If this is running unevenly, this will level it up, and you run it against the edge of the part here, so that this ball race revolves, and this will revolve when it's made perfect contact all the way around. I've not run it against the part itself. I've just run it against the edge of this jig that I've made here, so I'll run it against that to get it all nice and square, hopefully. So running it does appear to be running nice and true as far as I can see. So now I can set up a cutting tool to start off by facing this off. I don't know if you can see, there's a little shiny area here on both of these parts. There was obviously the gate here where the molten bronze was poured in, and that part was sticking up. What I could have done was put that part in with that gate sticking up and just machine that back, but I didn't want anything to catch on it, so I cut the gate off and filed it down, almost down to the surface, and that probably will make it a bit easier and quicker to face off as well. So I'll face this surface off, and then I'll bring the step down to shape. I'm not going to bother to show all of this. I'm going to do this part off camera. The other part I've got to machine, this one, I think that's going to be a lot more interesting for you to see. So I'll bring you back when I have this one set up. Then you can see a bit of machining on that. That'll be far more interesting than watching that bit being machined. Right, well that part's machined now. I'll take it off in a moment just to show you. So I faced it off and then machined it down to give that little shoulder here. I've also put a little centre pot mark in here as well, because that may also be useful later on to line this up on the rotary table when I drill the 4 holes for the screws in here as well. Right, that goes. That's the back of the cylinder, so that goes on quite nicely. Fits quite nicely in place. I've got a nice fit there as well. It doesn't have to be too tight. It needs to go on so that it sits nice and squarely in place. There is a gasket that goes between these two surfaces as well. They did provide a piece of gasket paper as well. It's not marked up in any way to say exactly what it is, but I may replace it with some of the gasket material I've got. So that would then make the sort of final seal at the back. So let's remove that from the chuck. Ooh. There we go. So that's where we are with that part. So that's quite nice. I've not bothered to sort of break the edge here. I might just very gently sand round that, because I want this to fit as flush as possible with the back of the cylinder. But I'll probably just very gently break that edge, take that out of here, and perhaps do that with a file. So what I'm going to do now, obviously I can remount this into the chuck when I'm ready to drill the holes. I'll probably do the holes in this at the same time that I drill them in the other cap, so that all that process can be done at the same time, because the pitch circle diameter is the same for both, but obviously the layout, as I mentioned, of the screw holes is different on both of these. So I'll bring you back perhaps for a bit of machining the other one when I've got that in position. Well, I've got the second one lined up in the chuck now, and I've put this in as tight as I can, so I don't want this to sort of move while I'm machining it, but I'm going to take quite light cuts. The depth of the boss here is machined down to 1/4 of an inch, and the diameter of the boss they give us 0.370, but I'm going to sort of machine it down to near that, because obviously what I want is for that to be a good fit into this hole in the back of the base. So obviously when I get that near to size, I'll keep testing it, because I want that to sit in nice and snugly into that hole there, just a really nice sliding fit. Because this one is quite important, because the 3 holes that are drilled in this help to line up this part against the base, and also to position the cylinder as well. So this would be used to drill the tapping screw holes into the base, into the cylinder itself. So I'm going to get this as accurate as I possibly can. So I'm going to machine it to bring this surface down nice and square, and then from using that as a reference, I can adjust that to get that to the 1/4 inch length here, and then machine this down to give me the correct diameter for the base. I'm going to take sort of quite light cuts. I'm going to use my diamond tool, because I did machine the other one to start with the carbide cutting tool. That was fine for facing off the other surface, but to machine the little recess that fits into the bore hole, I found that the diamond tool seemed to give me a much better finish overall. So I think that's what I'm going to do with this. Obviously I've got to be sort of cautious here. I've got good clearance all round, which I appear to have. So I'll start machining this. I'll start doing some of this off camera, and then periodically bring you back to show you how I'm getting on, because this obviously is going to need a fair bit of concentration to get this done. Right, we've got this set up now. I've already faced this surface off here. It needed quite a lot to be taken off here, because right in towards the centre there was quite a bad inclusion there. So I've got that sort of faced off nicely all the way across, and I've faced this surface back to give me the 1/4 inch length to the boss here. I think the measurement I was around about 1/1000 over, but that's not going to be, I don't think, too critical a measurement. The critical one obviously is getting the right diameter so that this will fit nicely into the hole in the back of the base. So I've already made a couple of passes on this, so that I can take a measurement to see how much more I've got to machine down. There's quite a bit to go, so I'll do a little bit of machining on this and then do some of it off camera to get this down to size, because this I guess is the most critical part to do. It didn't matter how much I needed to take off this face, because the part here, at the back here, when this is turned round in the chuck to bring this diameter down to the right size and face the other side off, this part here is going to be actually quite thin, so between the back of the base and the cylinder, so it leaves me enough material to machine this down as much as I needed to. But let's make a couple of passes over this to get this, start getting this down to the right diameter. Oops. Well, that definitely was a whoopsie moment then. I think I was giving it possibly a bit too much side pressure. Obviously facing off here and here was pushing the part back towards the headstock, so there was no problem. But obviously the jig mandrel that I'd made here wasn't gripping it tight enough, so while you were away I stripped all this down and I sawed through this with a bigger saw. When I made this, I actually cut the slot through here with a junior hacksaw so that I didn't make the slot too large, but I've cut through it now with a much bigger hacksaw blade. Hopefully that's going to give this a far better grip. The other possibility is whether I should have mounted this a bit further back, but I'm hoping I've got it now. I'll make some more cuts. I'll carry on with this for a little bit off camera and basically see what happens, so that I don't have the embarrassment of this flying out of the chuck again. But I'll bring you back in a moment. I've still got quite a bit to come off this. It's sort of, I've just taken a measurement. It's sort of 20,000 plus to come off, but it obviously took me a while to get all this set up again, and get everything sort of running nice and square again. But I'll bring you back in a bit. Well, I think that's going to go. I can't push it back any further because I can't get past that part there. But that looks as though that's gonna go. So yeah, I'm sure that's going to do it. I'm just going to just break that edge there. This has also got to be drilled through for a hole for the piston rod, and also drilled and tapped to take another part in here. So I think the best thing to do is actually to do all of that before this is removed. That will keep all that part of it nice and concentric. So I'll just check the plans and see exactly what I need to do there. What I've got to do is drill right the way through with an 1/8 of an inch drill. So I'll spot that first. So that 1/8 inch hole takes the piston rod. So we'll do that one first. That's through. Let's move that out the way. Right, the next thing I've got to drill into here 1/4 of an inch deep with a 5.3 millimeter drill, and then tap that 1/4 26 BSF, and that takes the packing nut, which I think I've already made the packing nut to screw into there. The plans actually call for 1/4 28, which is an American size tap, a UNF tap, which I have got, but I haven't got a bottoming tap. I've only got a taper tap, but in 1/4 26 I have got a bottoming tap anyway. So 28 to 26, not a great difference there really. So obviously I've got to use what I've got. So obviously I've got to take this very gently. Hope this all goes well. Let's see how we get on. Well, that was nearly another disaster. The drill grabbed the part here and started to move it in the mandrel I'd made. So what I've done is, keeping that in place, I've moved this much further back so that, which I should have done in the first place really, so that I'm actually gripping more at the front. So hopefully with care I'm not going to have any more problems with this. I've only got a little way to go with the drill. I've marked the drill position so that I don't drill into there too far. So let's see how we get on now. Pulled it out again, so let's see. I'll have to see how far. I think actually I've gone in deep enough with the drill, so if I can manage to get this off the end of the drill, hopefully I'll be okay. But I'll bring you back. Right, back again. Well, so far this has been rather disastrous. I've run into so many snags. The drill for the 1/4 inch tap here grabbed at the bottom. It's left a bit of a ragged bottom to it. I don't want to take any more chances with it now, trying to drill it any further. So I'm going to tap this hole out to the 1/4 inch 26 tap and hope for the best. I've gone in already a little way with a taper tap, not a very great taper tap, but this is the best sort of bottoming tap I've got, so I'm hoping this will do a reasonable job. I can only on this at the moment really sort of hope for the best and hope it all works out okay when everything's assembled and that I haven't sort of ruined this part. So I'm going to run the this tap in just to sort of take the thread in a bit further and hope that it cleans up okay. But the mandrel I've made, obviously on this one, on the previous one, it worked perfectly. It didn't work terribly well at all. So I'm hoping that everything is going to be okay. That's really down there as far as that's going to go. But it looks as though I've got quite a lot of thread in there. So hopefully that will be enough for the packing nut. I just need to sort of clean the face of that up and hope that I'm okay there. Obviously now I've got all this done, I can turn this round in the chuck and clamp on this part here to bring this part down to size. I'm going to take some measurements just to make sure that if I bring this down to size that I'm not encroaching on the thread. But I've made some sort of depth measurements and I think I'm within the 1/4 inch depth that called for. I don't think I hope I've not gone down too far, but obviously I'll sort of make some measurements off camera. Bear with me just for a moment. Well, I've been faced with a few disasters here, but I've managed to get the 1/4 inch thread in here to take the packing nut, which I had made. So this is the piston rod. So piston rod, obviously we go through the packing nut. So the piston is mounted this end, and this end screws into the crosshead. So that will go through that 1/8 inch hole, and hopefully the little packing nut will screw in there. So it goes in, and I didn't necessarily expect it to go all the way in, because obviously there's some packing material behind that. So hopefully all is going to be okay there. So that will run in and out through there. So the next job, as I mentioned, is going to be reversing this, gripping it on this part here, machining it down to diameter and to thickness. But I'll include that obviously, but it's sort of fairly late in the day now. It's still pouring down with rain. It's dark outside, so I'm going to call it a day today and pick this up another day to finish machining this off. But you'll see this all of this in the video anyway later on. The next thing is to bring this dimension to size, and then machine in the register in the centre here, so that it will fit into the back of the cylinder, and then bring the outside diameter to size. The outside diameter needs to be about 1 inch, so I'll have to reconfigure this to do that. But the important thing really is to get this brought down to size. It gives you a thickness of that part, which is only 1/16 of an inch. I'm actually going to machine it slightly bigger than that, because what I don't want to do is machine too much of this surface away, so that I lose a lot of this little centre hole here. Obviously I need a reasonable amount of sort of wall thickness in that to hold the piston rod in position. So I think I'll machine it just slightly large. I hope that's not going to matter too much. Obviously if it does, then I'll have to remachine that later. But I think allowing for the amount of travel that the piston will have in the central part of the cylinder, I think I'm hoping that I'm going to be okay there. So I'll start doing a bit of machining on this, and obviously bring you back for the final part. Well, I've made a reasonable start there, so I'll bring you back when I'm a little bit nearer to size. Right, well, I've faced this off, and I've faced it off to give me a thickness here of 1/8 of an inch. And I've put a Sharpie line round here to give me a guide to machine down for the register to go into the bore in the cylinder. So if I now machine this back, the depth of the little registration here is a 32nd of an inch, so that will then leave me with a wall thickness across here of 3/32 instead of a 1/16. So in thickness here I'm just going to be 1/32 of an inch oversized, which I think is going to be fine. And sort of looking into the central hole here, I've hopefully got plenty of engagement here for the piston rod. So I'm going to go with that, I think. Well, let's bring the tool across, and we'll go for that registration now. Bring my light over a bit so I can actually see what I'm doing. So if I just bring the cutter just to the outside of that Sharpie line, then I can sort of pop away at that until I get a good fit. Let's see how close we are now. Yeah, so we've just got a little way to go. Not very much, because that register in here is only very, very tiny. So I'll keep working at that and bring you back when I've got this part completed. Well, I've got this down to size now, so that the little register gives me a good fit onto the cylinder, so that fits on quite nicely, and there's no side play in that, so that's okay. But you can see that I don't know if you can see, but the diameter of this is much wider than the cylinder. The cap that goes on this end is smaller. This is about 1 inch in diameter here, so I had nothing to do on the cap for the rear, but I need to bring this down so that it's level roughly with that. I've done some measurements, and it's about 84 thousandths or 82, 84 thousandths over, so I need to machine that down. But what I've got to do is just reconfigure things a bit so that the front of this is away from the jaw surface. So I'm going to try and find something that I can put between these two, just to bring it out enough for me to bring the cutter across. When I'd machined these surfaces here, I did that with a carbide tool, but the finishing cuts I made on it I did with the diamond tool with the high speed steel tool to give me a much nicer finish and then a better sort of finish to the little register here as well. So I'll have a look around and see what I've got that I can put behind here just to bring that forward a bit, just to machine that part down. Well, I found a fibre washer that I've put between this back surface here and the face of the jaws here, which I hope will be good enough to make sure I'm clear of the jaws. So I think I'll try and do this with my high-speed steel diamond tool. Obviously, I take this very, very gently just to bring that down to size now. Take a measurement and see how much more I've got to go. Right. 15. Okay. Well, I'm within 1,000, so that's perfectly okay. Just got to break that ragged edge there. We'll go for a slightly steeper angle on that. That's better, I think. And a bit more. That's better. Well, that's basically that part done. There's a bit of a ragged edge there, but I'm going to gently go around that with a file, because I wouldn't easily now be able to mount that back in the chuck to do that. And there's, I think, sort of a rough surface there anyway, so I can clean that up by hand. So I think finishes that part. So with that part and this one, the final job on these is obviously to drill the various holes to affix it to either side of the cylinder. Now this piece will have 4 holes in it and this will have 3 in it, but I think rather than make this video too long, I'll do that in another sequence. So well, thanks for joining me in the workshop and on this little journey. In the end, this part turned out to be, quite a difficult one to do in the end. So I'm rather pleased that this basically, in terms of machining, is finished. Although drilling the holes has got to be done with a great deal of care, but that obviously would be done on the milling machine in my rotary table. So I'll be doing that a little bit later on. Anyway, thanks for joining me, as I say, and thanks again to all the subscribers to the channel and all the nice comments. If you've got any comments, please send them to me. I do look at every comment and answer every one of them, so we'd be pleased to hear from you. So that's it from me for now. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.